The U.S. will see a government shutdown without a full budget or continuing resolution by November 17. Most expect a continuing resolution to be passed, though only days remain to do so. At the time of writing, event forecasting site Kalshi gives a 1 in 3 chance that a government shutdown occurs. However, if a shutdown is avoided, further work will likely be needed to pass a full budget. Markets have paid limited attention to shutdown risks because a continuing resolution is expected. In fact, continuing resolutions have been the norm in recent years. Historically, going back to 1952, continuing resolutions almost always occurred, often into December or later, while a full budget is worked out. However, government shutdowns have occasionally occurred too. Only 5 years have avoided a continuing resolutions over the last 70. Still, any continuing resolution will require subsequent work from legislators to pass a budget. Additionally, given provisions in the 2023 debt ceiling agreement, automatic 1% across-the-board budget cuts are possible if budgetary delays continue. A continuing resolution passed on September 30, funding the U.S. government for an additional 45 days as the new fiscal year began for the U.S. government. The hope was that a full budget would be worked out during that 45-day period. So far, that hasn't happened. That's in part because over half of that time was ultimately spent deposing Kevin McCarthy, RCA, as House Speaker and replacing him with Mike Johnson, RLE. Johnson has said he wants to avoid a shutdown, though his detailed plan for doing so isn't yet public. The Republicans' narrow House majority adds complications. However, there are 12 appropriations subcommittees that comprise the U.S. budget. The Senate has made progress on 3 of them, passing a bipartisan combined bill for agriculture, Veterans Affairs and Transport, Housing and Urban Development on November 1. The House has so far passed bills for 7 of the 12 budgetary areas, although further progress this week has so far stalled. House bills have been passed along partisan lines, and so are unlikely to attract the necessary support within the Democratic-controlled Senate. In contrast, the Senate measures have been bipartisan. In addition, the text of the bill raising the debt limit includes automatic 1% cuts to the government's entire budget if a full budget is not passed by January 1, 2024. The intent of that measure was to incentivize relatively quick progress on the budget, rather than for the cuts to actually implemented. Still, it's another deadline consideration in the budgetary process. Continuing resolutions are historically common. Although, they may disrupt some aspects of government, such as travel and hiring practices. They also require planning for a potential government shutdowns as various deadlines approach. Generally, though, government can continue to function relatively normally under a continuing resolution.